This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And we're back at it again tonight. Game number 2 of the 3-game series, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Arizona Diamondbacks. You come to the ballpark, you may see the good, the bad, and the ugly. We saw all 3 last night. The good, the starting pitching of Carlos Martinez, the great defense of Tommy Pham and Randall Bridget. The bad was Taijuan Walker with 5 walks and 3 errors in 1 inning. That led to a 5-2 lead at the time for the St. Louis Cardinals. But that would evaporate. The ugly, David Peralta with this solo home run to tie it late against Seung-Hwan Oh. And the Diamondbacks would win it with a walk-off in inning number 10. And we welcome you to St. Louis Cardinals baseball. It's game number 2 tonight. That's the Mad Hungarian Al Raboski. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is here as well. It's set up perfectly for the Cardinals. Last night in game 1, 3-run lead going into the 8th. Rosenthal and O rested, available, but it did not work out.
It really didn't work out, and that is the most demoralizing thing for a ball club, is when your late inning relievers do not get the job done. Now, you would think that they would still be available tonight, but Mike Matheny has hinted that there could be changes at the back end of a game.
And there has been a roster move made by the Cardinals that you heard on the pregame show. Paul DeJong will be at shortstop tonight. DeJong and the rest list. Well, that's the way it's been this season for the Cardinals. Getting you set for baseball. A look at our BJC Healthcare difference maker from last night. Tommy Pham with this great catch. That saves 2 runs early on. After that, Carlos Martinez would settle in. Late in the game, this diving catch by Randall Grichuk. That saves at least 1 run, maybe 2. 2 great defensive plays. The BJC Healthcare difference makers. Tommy Pham in center field tonight. Randall Grichuk is in left field. It's game number 2 from the desert. The Cards, the Diamondbacks. By Bud Light, famous among friends. By Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting, full-size pickups on the road. Find yours at your local Mid-America Chevy dealer. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And away we go from Chase Field in Arizona, Game 2, the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals. And the first pitch by Zach Godley is taken for a ball. A look at his Hyundai pitch arsenal. A very good pitch for him is his curveball. Opponents hitting just 125 against that. That's 6th best in all of baseball against that curve.
And he has a lot of the kitchen sink stuff. He really struggles. Excuse me, you see a lot of the hitters are struggling against him. He has not allowed more than 3 runs in a start this year. And he got to the rotation filling in for Shelby Miller.
Here's a 2-0 pitch, and it's taken for a strike. Carpenter, Pham, Piscotty, then Jerko, Molina, Grichuk, DeYoung, Garcia, and Adam Wainwright. Second consecutive start for Paul DeYoung as Aledmus Diaz was demoted before the game to AAA Memphis. The 2-1 pitch, and it's 3-1.
Mike Matheny said that Diaz has some things to work on offensively and defensively. Just not quite the same player we saw a year ago, but young players don't always continue to improve. Sometimes they have a little setback before they take off.
3-1 pitch, a check swing, and very close to the area in which a fan was hit by a foul ball off the bat of Greg Garcia last night. I know a lot of fans were worried about that particular individual's status, and we can report that they went to the hospital, and from all reports, at least initially, everything seems to be okay. A 3-2 pitch. Carpenter, little bouncer hit into the shift, and that's the first out. The defense for the Diamondbacks around the horn is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Daniel Descalso another start in left, Fuentes in center, and Peralta is in right. Lamb, Owings, Drury, Goldschmidt on the infield, and Jeff Mathis, longtime major league catcher, is behind the plate. Here's Tommy Pham. Tommy from Las Vegas. His sister and his nephew here last night. A lot of family and friends.
You just saw that good curveball, and notice the velocity. Pretty hard at 84 miles an hour.
1 ball and 1 strike.
So he'll throw the curveball, a splitter. He's got a sinking fastball, and he just tries to keep you off balance, uncomfortable, and keep you hitting on the ground.
He was in the dugout with teammates Jeremy Hellickson and Robbie Ray a couple of seasons ago, and Hellickson was talking about the way he gripped and threw his curveball. And for Godley at the time, he didn't have a great breaking ball. That changed as that's hit foul. It wasn't one of his better secondary pitches, so he benefited from just tinkering with it and that grip. He said he'd been doing the same thing over and over in high school. Changed the grip, changed some of the speeds with it, and it's become a plus pitch for him.
It sure has, and a difference maker for him.
The 1-2 to Tommy Pham. That's why you always see when Tommy, our director, maybe he puts a shot up of the opposing team or even the Cardinals, and the pitchers, they always seem to have a baseball by them or in their hands. Looking at grips, various pitches, different ways to grip a pitch, throw a pitch, arm angles. They're always talking.
I think if you ask pitchers, a lot of times they tell you when they're youth, even in the pro baseball, that they would take a ball to bed and spin it, just laying in bed before they go to sleep, just keep on trying to experiment.
Down and in, and it's 3-2. Pham hitting .279, 9 home runs. He's driven in 23. There's Zach Greinke, who has 9 wins already this season on the right. Robbie Ray on the left.
I think we're fortunate to miss both those guys.
Strikeout of Tommy Pham.
That hard curveball right there.
With 2 outs, nobody on. It brings in Stephen Piscotty. A look at the Missouri Lottery Fox tracks.
The curveball grip just pulls down on it. See the tight spin. But a lot of times when you're talking about a pitch in the 80s, a breaking ball, you're going to think a slider, not a curveball. Much harder. Like Adam Wainwright will probably throw his 75 to 77 miles an hour at top speed.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Last start, Godley and the Diamondbacks won 10-3. It was Thursday against the Rockies. He went 7 innings, allowed 3 runs, and struck out 8. His last 5 starts, the club has won all 5, and he's 2-0 with an ERA that's under 3.
Yeah, he's pitched very well for them.
The 2-1 pitch. 2-2.
John Mabry, Billy Miller, who's rejoined the ball club. Good to see Billy. But talked about they have a good game plan. But execution.
And Godley racing off the mound, hustling into the dugout. He's the first one there. 2 strikeouts in the top of the first, and there's no score. Adam Wainwright. It's really been an up and down season. At times masterful, great, and other times not so much.
Well, he's got to figure it out, and he did a good job last time out. Went 7 innings, gave up 1 earned run, 2 runs total, was in line for a victory, and then the bullpen faltered. But his problems have been on the road. And he's really pitched well at home, but he has an ERA at 9.5 on the road. 2-4 record versus 5-1 and a 2.64 at home. He's pitched very well against Arizona in his career in a good ERA. But this guy's been a thorn in the side. 2 for 2 and a home run against Adam Descalzo.
Swinging, one of the hottest bats in their lineup. So the Diamondbacks move him to the leadoff spot. Descalzo, Peralta, Goldschmidt here in the first, then Lamb, Owings, Drury, Fuentes, Mathis, and Godley. 2 strikes. Daniels 9 for his last 17 with 4 runs scored and 5 driven in. Last night his 4th consecutive multi-hit game. So playing a big part in the success of the Diamondbacks, especially here at home, as they're one of the best teams in the game right now.
Yeah, tied with the Dodgers, the best record in the National League at home.
And a strikeout for Adam Wainwright to start his night. Cardinals defensively with Grichuk, Pham, and Piscotty in the outfield. Jerko, DeYoung, Garcia, Carpenter on the infield, and Yachty is behind the plate. Around the horn, presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. David Peralta, solo home run in the 9th to tie the game last night off a Seung-Hwan Oh.
Talked about former Cardinal farmhand. He was a pitcher in the Cardinals minor league system. Had several shoulder issues, was released and was trying to stay on as a hitter, but had to go to independent baseball. And he made it. He was a difference maker last night with this home run.
8th of the year.
That's the 6th home run that O has allowed this year. And he allowed only 5 all last year, about twice as many innings.
Good breaking ball on the previous pitch. 1-2 the count on David Peralta. Put in play left side, and DeYoung can't come up with it.
Looked like he was trying to circle the baseball. He seemed playing almost to the edge of grass. Comes over here kind of circling the ball, trying to come up with it and get into a throwing position. Ball didn't stay in the glove.
As of right now, it's a base hit.
Oh, no. Come on.
For David Peralta.
What a joke.
Here's Paul Goldschmidt, batting .327, 18 home runs, and he's driven in 65.
This is the big league level. Wow.
Goldschmidt overall with a 19 on base streak, 19 games consecutive. Here at home, it's up to 42 straight, franchise record.
And he's had success against Adam. 4 for 11, a double, 2 home runs, couple RBIs. We were talking before the game. Now he is a tremendous hitter and always around the MVP numbers. But it just seems like he hasn't done a lot of damage against the Cardinals. Just a .250 average.
.2-0 pitch. This is an infield that is very quick with the heat of the desert. The roof is open for about half the day, and they try to water it as much as they can to get more grass growing, but it's cut short. Quick infield, it's fast. The 2-1 pitch. Double play ball. 6-4-3 on the double play. And the Diamondbacks. This is the base hit for Peralta. The ball that skipped up the glove and arm of DeYoung, and then the State Farm double play, 6-4-3. I think that ball, though, by Goldschmidt does give you an idea how quick this infield is.
Sure. And I think, I say that's ridiculous that scored a hit. And I think Paul DeYoung would be the first one to tell you that it's an error. And he has to make that kind of play. But with the nice double play ball, no harm, no foul.
Here's Jed Jerko batting .294. He's popped 12 home runs, driven in 37. Cardinals saw their home run streak end at 15 consecutive games last night. And the 1-1.
Jerko is the only Cardinal in the lineup that has faced this pitcher, Godley, and he's 1 for 2 against him.
The 2-1 pitch. Jerko skies one into center field. Fuentes under it, makes the catch. 4 up and 4 down for Zach Godley, who was traded over from the Chicago Cubs in the Miguel Montero deal. And Montero making some headlines today as he was designated for assignment by Chicago after the Nationals had 7 steals with him behind the plate last night. Jake Arrieta on the mound. And he was asked by reporters after the game about that situation, and paraphrasing here what he said was, I need help from my pitchers. It's not all about me.
Well, most of the time a steal is against the pitcher. That was quite evident last year with Yadier Molina. That so much of the time he had no chance to throw out a base runner, but the Cardinal pitchers are much better this year.
2 balls and 1 strike. My paraphrasing was, let's put it as a kind way to relay the comments of Miguel Montero. They were pretty pointed, and the Cubs took exception to that. Jake Arrieta said that Montero reached out to him this morning and they talked it over. Fights it off into shallow right, racing in Peralta. Out number 2.
Cubs are on the verge of losing again to the Nationals. They're in the top of the 9th inning. The nation's capital down by 4.
John Lackey making that start for Chicago. Steven Strasburg looking for win number 9. And they may lose Chris Bryant for an extended period of time on a routine pop-up in the middle of the game. He went over, made the catch at third base, stepped on the bag, and turned his ankle to where he had to be helped off the field.
And Dan, sometimes an injury, and we're not trying to play doctor here, but sometimes a sprain like that can be more complicated, longer to come back from than a break.
Here's the 0-1. Grichuk is 4 for 14 in his return to the big leagues. Made a great catch in left field last night in the 8th inning with Rosenthal on the mound. Kept it a 1-run lead for the Cardinals.
Yeah, that was really a nifty play with the bases loaded and ball coming off the bat of a left-hander, slicing away into the corner from him.
Well, pitch recognition, we talk about it a lot with Grichuk. You wonder if this would be a tough matchup against a guy like Godley.
I would think that this is going to be a true test.
2-2. And that's hit out to deep right field. Did he answer the test? Peralta back, leaps, and he's got it. And he's limping. Nice play in right field by David Peralta. Takes an extra base hit away from Randal Grichuk. To play tonight, leading the Cardinals in hits with 71, but yet he is on his way to Memphis. More on that. Let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, Aledmus told me he was shocked when he got the news that he was headed to Memphis, but he said he did understand. He told me he vowed to stay positive. He said this: anytime I have the chance to keep putting on a jersey, I'm happy. This is the game I grew up loving. He also said, if they think this is best for me, I'll go to Memphis and play hard every day. Diaz knows his numbers are down. Batting average, on-base percentage, slugging, all way down. But he told me he thinks it's just part of what an everyday player goes through sometimes. He told me, this is a long season. I know if I kept playing here, I would have gotten better. So, Dan, he now says he'll try to do that in Memphis.
Yeah, one of the real good guys, too. We're pulling for Aledmus Diaz. The 1-1 to Jake Lamb. Softly hit towards second. Garcia underhands to Carpenter.
Nice play right there. Not that easy. Not hit hard. Gets by Adam, and then second baseman comes in, who's back at the edge of the grass. Fields it, but shovel passes it to first just in time. Notice on the double play, Garcia received that ball from DeYoung barehanded on the double play ball.
Here's Chris Owings, 38th start at shortstop, and he's going to get a bunch more. He was also their opening day shortstop here in 2017, and he hits a fly ball into right center. Catch made by Piscotty. Nick Ahmed, their outstanding defensive shortstop, had 3 pins inserted into his right hand this morning. He's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. That's in the 8th inning last night. A 99-mile-an-hour fastball from Trevor Rosenthal. The 26-year-old was batting .251, career high for him, and 6 home runs, but that is a big loss for Arizona.
Really is. Now, Chris Owens, they're lucky that they do have a very capable backup, and as you said, Chris Owens has been a starter for the Diamondbacks at short, but Ahmed, as Tony La Russa told you what he thought of him, that's pretty glowing terms.
Made a case that he's the best defensive shortstop in the game today. Here's Brandon Drury, hitting .289. He's at second base tonight, 8 home runs, and has driven in 38. One ball and 1 strike. It was another 1-run game for the Arizona Diamondbacks last night, in which they won 17-7 now in 1-run games, best in all of baseball, and 7-1 in extra innings.
It's kind of a reflection on your bullpen too, and they have a good, strong bullpen, particularly at the end.
Last 15 games, a .95 ERA for their pen. Good pitch on the inside corner. And strikeout number 2 for Adam Wainwright. Sends us to the 3rd, and there's no score. St. Louis Cardinals baseball is brought to you by your local St. Louis area Volkswagen dealers. And by Jack in the Box. Come try the sweet or spicy barbecue bacon cheeseburger combo for $4.99, limited time only. Paul DeYoung is hit safely in 6 straight. Went 1 for 4 last night. Picked up a sac fly RBI. So Ledmus Diaz sent down to the minor leagues. Cardinals have called up a shortstop that has spent time at AA, most recently at AAA. One ball and 1 strike on Paul DeYoung. It's Alex Mejia. Hard hit ball to short. Owings makes the play, and the tag applied by Goldschmidt. So that is 7 up, 7 down for Zach Godley. Diamondbacks off to their best start in franchise history, and they'd love to duplicate what happened in 2001, which was a World Series title against the New York Yankees. The backdrop of 9/11, and what a great World Series it was. Luis Gonzalez with the walk-off hit to end it in game number 7 right here at this ballpark. There's a ground ball that's backhanded by Paul Goldschmidt, and he steps on the bag. Rotation that was anchored by Curt Schilling, Randy Johnson. There's a look at Bob Brenly. He was the manager of that club. As we flash back, Luis Gonzalez against Mariano Rivera. A little floater, and that was it. The Diamondbacks were world champions. Bob Brenly, now the analyst for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I asked him before the game, I said, what really stood out about that World Series? And he said after game 2 here, they went to New York, had a workout day at Yankee Stadium. He said he did not make it mandatory for the players to go to ground zero, but all went before the workout. And he said it was amazing to see the first responders literally coming out of holes in the ground to meet the players, to grab a cell phone, to talk to loved ones. And in particular was Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling. And he said his son, who was the bat boy for that series, was 15 years old at that time. Michael grabbed a hard hat from a first responder and actually had all of them sign it with a Sharpie, and it's one of the great keepsakes that he's ever had in the game of baseball. Bob Brenly, world champion of 2001. For your 2017 All-Stars, the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot, Cardinals.com/vote. It's presented by MasterCard, July 11th, live on Fox. Another tough luck night for Carlos Martinez as he struck out 10. It'll be Fuentes, Mathis, and Godley against Adam Wainwright. Here are the Diamondbacks, half of the third.
You know, Adams got 7 wins this year. Martinez is stuck on 6, but great ERA, 2.88. He's got 121 strikeouts. Opponents are only batting 199 against him. But the bullpen has blown a few wins for him. Numbers last night in line for the victory, but it went by the wayside. Another pickup day today, Dan, as Milwaukee and Chicago both lose today, so we could pick up a game. It's just hard to believe that the way the Cardinals are playing, that they're still, with a victory here today, would be 3.5 games back.
Here's Ray Fuentes. He's in center tonight, hitting .385 in his last 17 games. And a teammate of Yadier Molina in the World Baseball Classic for Team Puerto Rico. And he lines a base hit into right field. Leadoff single here in the bottom of the third as we turn to our Toyota keys to the game.
Well, you can see the innings 1 through 6. The starters have done a really good job. 6th best in Major League Baseball with that 3.79 ERA. But all season long, we've been having trouble late in the game with the bullpen. 5th worst in Major League Baseball with a 4.69. And it seems like it's not getting any better. Changes may happen. And yet you got to feel like some of the veteran guys have track records that they'll get it solved. Adam Wainwright's an example for that. Pitched very well his last time out. He's pitched very well against the Diamondbacks, 7-4 with a 2.71 ERA. That's his ERA is the 6th lowest mark by any active starter.
Up the middle and a base hit into center. So back-to-back hits, bobbled initially by Pham, but no damage done. And it'll bring in the pitcher, Zach Godley.
And did a nice job of handling the first 6 batters in the lineup. But then your 7 and 8 get to him. We saw Godley pinch hit last night, lay down a sacrifice.
And here it is. Searching for position players, they were out of them. So Godley comes in, lays down the bunt. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Strike one.
Carpenter very aggressive coming down the line. Pitch was being made. He was basically inside the pitcher's arc, inside the mound.
And the 0-1 pitch, curveball, and it's strike two.
Hitting 111, 2 for 18, just 5 strikeouts. Keep an eye on Carpenter here, and then see if Jerko can get back and hopefully get the lead runner at third. That's
big
better.
Strikeout there. So 3 tonight for Adam Wainwright. And we head back to the top of the lineup. Descalso, who struck out his first time up.
Daniel Descalso.
StubHub is your ticket out to once-in-a-lifetime experiences, from Cardinal games to amazing concerts to shows you just don't want to miss. StubHub connects you with the world of live. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals. First time through the lineup, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts. A.J. Pollock is out with a right groin issue, playing in his 5th rehab game tonight. Also, Yasmani Tomas dealing with a groin issue as well, his 2nd rehab game. So Descalso is in left field.
Every team's going to go through injuries. You know, it's how do you fill that void? Guys like Descalso are so important to a ball club. They know their role.
Here's the 0-1. They're the kind of players that can have 3 hits and then not see the field for a week and be okay with it.
Yep. And be, you know, the cheerleader when on the mound or on the bench, and do all kinds of things to help out their teammates.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Kept in front by Molina.
Very interesting article today on Gregor Blanco, who his first year with the Diamondbacks after winning a couple World Series with the Giants, and said his perception of the Diamondbacks is they were all selfish, didn't play team baseball, and came over, and he said, at first they proved to me that's what they were. And he started talking about what you have to do to be a good teammate, how you have to pull for everybody else. And then Descalzo gets in there and talks about the winning culture that he had in St. Louis, and talking about how they're all buying into it right now and having a lot of fun because they're winning.
I mentioned the story last night, a team meeting after Pollock went down, and Blanco was the one that stood up, talked about his experiences in winning 2 world championships with the Giants and how that was an unselfish bunch.
Right.
Time is called. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And sometimes, Dan, you know, a player just doesn't realize that they're being selfish until it's pointed out to them, and then they change the course and become very important team players and understand it.
3-2. Wainwright in 2011, when the Cardinals won the World Series, was injured, and Descalso played a big role, especially late in games defensively at third base for St. Louis. On the field for that final out, caught by Alan Craig in deep left field. David Freese's home run, one of the biggest cheerleaders of that night, and watching them all gather at the plate was Adam Wainwright, screaming at the crowd and throwing his hands up, and so excited for one of the best moments in World Series history. (3-2) to Daniel Descalso. Did not go. Draws a walk. First issued by Wainwright, and the bases are loaded.
Right field.
Inning started with a base hit by Fuentes to right. Mathis a single to center. Godley tried to bunt. He struck out, and now a walk to Descalso. Bases loaded, and 1 out. Peralta, an infield hit first time up. We saw him go back on the ball that was hit to deep right, and at the base of these walls, just concrete. It's about maybe 6 inches, and it looked like that's where he landed, that left leg, the base of the wall.
Base of the wall, and also that concrete pillar that is padded, but I think he got the heel on the concrete.
Lines it the other way. It is caught. Runner will tag and stop. Hard hit off the bat of Peralta. Catch made by Grichuk. The bases remain loaded.
Fuentes at third base. Not really quite familiar how his running speed is, but he's a center fielder. And they decided not to test right here. Are you surprised with that? I am.
Only thing I can think is that he didn't get a great jump going back to it because it got out to left field so quickly.
And the other thing is who's at home plate.
Sure.
Goldschmidt, who leads National League in RBIs with 65. Let's take a look at him. So he gets back to the bag. Started to go, but throw was cut off by Jerko, the third baseman.
Nowhere to put Paul Goldschmidt. Leads the league all of baseball in RBIs already with 65. 4th in the league at the start of play today in average at 327.
18 home runs on top of that, 13 steals. He is really a very good defensive player, a great all-around player.
The 1-0 pitch. Also in these spots, runners in scoring position, best in the National League at 442. The 2-0 pitch. First time up, grounded out sharply into a double play, started it short. Missouri Lottery Fox tracks.
Like a cutter and hitting that pitch down and away. Told our home plate umpire, DJ Rayburn, that's a strike down there.
2-2. Goldschmidt can't believe the call.
Now, he's not the kind to complain, and he won't say anything, but wow. Thank you, Mr. Umpire.
Two pitch. And now the runner's off with this next delivery from Wainwright. 3-2, 2 outs here in the bottom of the third, and a big pitch in this game with Goldschmidt at the plate.
This is where you got to reach down in your bag of tricks and come up with something special.
The 3-2.
Got the velocity, 94 miles an hour right there, the fastball. I think he wanted that pitch down a little bit, but just a foul ball. How about the signature pitch of Adam Wainwright, the curveball, and make it a good one. I think Yachty might have second-guessed himself. Put down something and then said, well, let's talk about it.
As a pitcher, 3-2 in this spot, Al, would that bother you, this type of meeting and the rhythm, and you're facing one of the game's best?
Yes, it would, but I think, when you're talking about the power of Yachty Molina to explain things, and that these two guys have worked together so long, I think Adam mentally is a lot tougher than I am, and can kind of figure it out and doesn't let it bother him.
3-2 pitch. He got him. A strikeout of Goldschmidt, and the biggest of the night. With the bases loaded, Paul Goldschmidt strikes out, and the Cardinals and Wainwright get out of a jam. That if you're on the road, maybe on vacation this summer, you want to watch Cardinals baseball, the best way to do it, stream the Cardinals wherever you go with Fox Sports Go. A huge moment in this game. Paul Goldschmidt with the bases loaded, striking out on a 3-2 pitch from Adam Wainwright. May have chased ball 4, probably did. And Wainwright will take it. His 4th strikeout of this game.
Not to take anything away, but that's what happens when you have a couple strikes that are called against you that are out of the strike zone. It makes you expand the zone.
Here's Matt Carpenter, and he looks at a ball low. Pittsburgh a winner tonight, 6-2 over Tampa Bay. But that's only a small part of the story there in Pittsburgh. Umpire John Tumpane was in a tense situation this afternoon crossing the Clemente Bridge. And as he was crossing the bridge, and it was basically empty at that time of the day, he rushed toward a woman who appeared to be calm and was going to jump off the bridge, and he was able to make her come back over and not jump. And medical team showed up. They got her calmed down. Tumpane stayed with her, wanted to know her name, prayed with her, and essentially saved her life. But just an amazing story this afternoon before the Pirates defeated Tampa Bay. He said, "I'm not going to let you go. Let's talk this out. We'll get you back over here." She responded, "No one wants to help me. Just let me go." And he said, "No, we're here to help you, and you will not jump off this bridge."
It was either in the 70s or 80s. There was American League umpire Pallone that was eating, and across the street saw, a potential robbery, and went over and helped some young lady. And of course, he was shot in the back and was paralyzed from the waist down. He eventually got some of his mobility back, but obviously ended his career as an umpire. But a courageous act, and so what Tumpane did too.
Like you're thinking about Steve Palermo.
Palermo, that's it. There was a Pallone. He was noted for something else, and Palermo did recently die.
Just passed away, and umpires, I believe, are wearing SP on their shoulders to remember Steve Palermo, who is still working for the Umpires Association and Major League Baseball. There it is.
Yeah.
It was in 1991 that took place.
Time flies.
He was outside Campese's, which was a Dallas restaurant when that happened. Base hit into right. Carpenter stopping at second base. And Tommy Pham has the first Cardinal hit of the night.
Don't stop there.
I think one of the things that you look at in that particular situation, we talk about it a lot, going from first to third, and Carpenter is at second. Wasn't hit all that hard.
Wasn't hit that hard, so it takes a while for the right fielder to get to that ball. Now you fielded in relatively short right field, but that's one of those. I think Mike Matheny's been saying, okay, if you get thrown out, even though it'd be the first out at third base, is what I want to see, being aggressive.
Here's Stephen Piscotty, runners at first and second, nobody out. That's hit down the right field line, slicing foul and out of play. Well, in one moment, you're Arizona. You've got one of the dangerous hitters in the game, maybe the best in the game, at the plate with the bases loaded. A 3-2 count, a strikeout. The Cardinals then go to the plate, haven't recorded a hit yet. Now all of a sudden it's a walk, a base hit, and the fortunes may change in this game.
Well, obviously the momentum is now with the Cardinals, but it's so early it may change back and forth a couple times.
Oh, 0-2 the count.
That's what you do as a pitcher. You know there's a scoring opportunity, but you don't want to really watch it. You don't want to be frustrated like their starter could have been with a missed opportunity with Goldschmidt's strikeout. And even if your team gives you 10 runs, you still think you're in a one-run game just to keep you mentally sharp.
Pitch in the dirt. Carpenter on his way to third. Read that very well.
With that one, he's able to go to third. If he would have been on third, he would not have been able to score on that ball there. Just far enough for the lead runner to take off. That's a tough play for Tommy Pham because he's got to watch the guy in front of him, and if you're watching too long, then you know you're going to get thrown out at second base. A much easier play for the catcher.
One and two the count. You think about running maybe Tommy Pham, who has 8 stolen bases this year. Up and into Piscotty. It was at this ballpark where Jim Joyce was able to save a woman with CPR. And that wasn't that long ago. That was in 2012. It was 90 minutes before the first pitch, and it was a game day employee that had been here since 1998. Was having a seizure. He hadn't used CPR since high school, but was able to save the lady's life. She had stopped breathing. It was incredible. Jim Joyce also just retired this year, and when they did a lot of the voting and the polls of who are the best umpires, many times he'd be number 1 on that list as voted by the players. 2 and 2 the count with runners at first and third.
Remember, Jim Joyce had to deal with 2, knowing that he blew a perfect game.
That was Detroit's Armando Galarraga back in 2010.
Right, final, 27th out, ground ball to first base, and pitcher covering clearly was out, and he called him safe. And obviously it was before a replay, but had to live with that, knowing the next day Galarraga brought the lineup card. And Jim Joyce was in tears.
Good at bat here by Piscotty. He's run it to 3 and 2. See if Pham is running on this pitch. 3 and 2 the count.
He's your Cardinals' best base stealer. Now, if he gets a good jump, I'm all for it.
He's not running, and the pitch is hit out of play. Pham may have wanted to run on that last pitch. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I think when you sit there and he wasn't comfortable with the lead, and he's kind of a little upset. But if you don't get a good lead and a good jump, you can't go. And with a foul ball, I'm glad he didn't waste the effort.
Now leaning towards second, not running again, and it's tapped foul. Look at the Cardinals running game from a year ago to this season.
Much better percentage too. Now 70%, still a little bit down, but acceptable. Last year it was horrible. 35 steals and close to 50%.
3-2 again. And Piscotty is hit by the pitch. And the bases will be loaded for the Cardinals.
Watch his hand. Running up and in. It's on the left hand. See if it's more the wrist or the fingers.
medical team not checking on Piscotty, and I'm sure that the Diamondbacks are just trying to make sure that he indeed was hit by the pitch and not a foul ball.
Well, I'm worried about them giving it, or they're going to challenge it. I was hoping it was something like that rather than issuing warnings.
Is that the batter was hit by the pitch. The review was initiated with the manager challenged by the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Throwing on the big board, and it's really hard to tell.
Well, what they can do, and it's the this would be the best look that you have. They can enhance this video again, right there, to see whether or not it got the knob of the bat or the hand. So once they enhance it, they should be able to tell.
Almost looked like it might have gotten that finger and the knob.
Well, Jim Joyce wish he had instant replay back in 2010.
So does Don Denkinger in 1985.
Watch the hand. See it just shake a little bit, so that would tell you he is indeed hit by the pitch. And the bases will be loaded for the Cardinals and nobody out.
The call stands.
Now the pitching coach out to talk to his pitcher, Mike Butcher.
Cleanup man at the plate, that's Jed Jerko, and what an opportunity here for the Cardinals. Cardinals and their AAA affiliate Memphis, they have 3 All-Stars, Carson Kelly, Ryan Sheriff, and Luke Weaver. That was announced today. For Kelly, already his 3rd All-Star appearance in the minors. He's batting .279, #1 catching prospect in the game with 7 home runs. He's driven in 31. Ryan Sheriff, the 2nd most appearances in the league and the lowest walks per 9. And Weaver has been remarkable. Doesn't have enough innings to qualify for the leaderboard. If he did, he'd lead the league in ERA and WHIP. So it's been a very good season for Luke Weaver.
And Ryan Sheriff, we saw him, a little left-handed specialist. Did a good job in spring training.
First pitch now, bases loaded to Jerko. And it's taken for a ball inside. Inning started with a walk to Carpenter. Tommy Pham, the base hit into right. Piscotty hit by a pitch. Cardinals have just 1 hit in this game.
That was a 9-pitch at bat by Piscotty.
Two and 0.
Missed with a curveball up and in, then that pitch right there. Down and away. Ball behind, you're asking for trouble.
The 2-0. 3-0. The cleanup hitter with tremendous power that may turn him loose here on 3 balls and no strikes.
Loves to hunt fastballs.
The 3-0 pitch. 3-1.
That looked like a little Goldschmidt pitch away. Called a strike, but if you're consistent, players will adapt. May not like it, but they will adapt.
3-1 pitch to Jerko. Taken high, and it's 1-0 Cardinals. The second walk issued by Godley in this inning. That scores Carpenter. 1-0 St. Louis, the RBI number 38 for Jed Jerko. Just 2 behind Carpenter for the team lead. I know Yachty loves to swing on that first pitch, but you may have to make Godley throw you a strike. We shall see.
You know, it just seems like managers are very, very reluctant even to give the take sign anymore. 3-0, they seem like they want them to be disciplined.
Swinging away, base hit into left. 1 run is in. Here comes Piscotty. Throw to the plate is cut off, and it's 3-0 Cardinals. Molina drives in, numbers 30 and 31. 3-0 St. Louis.
That extends that hitting streak, too.
It's now up to 14 games for Yadier Molina, longest in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that's what you talk about, Dan. The guys just walked a couple, hit a batter, walked one with the bases loaded, and you can't argue with the fact you know the pitcher's going to want to get ahead in the count.
Now Randall Grichuk, still nobody out. Runners at first and second. Grichuk fly to deep right, first time up. And it's hit out of play. Yadier Molina, that base hit to left field. Drives in 2, hitting streak now at 14, and he's hitting well above 300 during these 14 games. The 0-1 pitch. Hit sharply to short, out at second, the turn, and a double play. Owings was almost knocked over by that hard hit ball.
Shortstop, Paul DeYoung.
In steps Paul DeYoung, grounded out to short, first time up. And again, if you just joined us, the Cardinals did demote Aledmys Diaz to the minor leagues, so you'll see a lot of DeYoung at short. Almost a wild pitch.
Good block right there, as you say. And DeYoung got the 6-game hitting streak. 320 average with 2 home runs during that time.
Another home run tonight for Aaron Judge. Major League leading, 27th. Yankees with an 8-2 lead. 1 ball and 1 strike. Arcia in the driver's seat. Paul DeYoung, last 10 games, the 4 homers. He's driven in 10.
Handled himself very well. Quiet confidence that he has, and is delivering.
One and 2 the count. What has turned into a very long inning here for Zach Godley. DeYoung with a high fly ball lifted out to right. Peralta is under it and makes the catch. First pitch swinging after the walk to Jerko, and it pays off for Yadier Molina as he drives in 2. Bases loaded walk to Jerko. 3-0 Cardinals. signing that went under the radar for most in baseball, but certainly not here in Arizona. They brought Daniel Descalso to town. But more on that, let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, how about our old friend Daniel Descalso leading off and playing left field tonight? He told me you get a little older, you have to learn new ways to contribute. He sure did that last night. 2 hits, 2 runs, and an RBI. I asked him if he felt guilty doing that to his old team. He told me not at all. There are a lot of new faces over there, but it's always fun to beat your old team. He told me he'll never forget his time in St. Louis, especially winning it all in 2011 with his friends John Jay, David Freese, and Alan Craig. Dan, he told me you have baseball friends, you talk to them during the season, then never talk again. Those guys are friends forever. Double D, really good guy.
Absolutely. 30 years of age now. Originally drafted by the Cardinals, 3rd round in 2007. Tony La Russa telling me that he texted Daniel after their walk-off win the other day. Said, "You're up to your old tricks." Late inning situations. Daniel Descalso was very good for the St. Louis Cardinals. And in that postseason of 2011, Game 6, there's a fly ball lifted out to center. Fan back, can't make the catch. It's off his glove. And Lamb will stop at second. But the 10th inning rally was started by Daniel Descalso. Looked like Pham may have come in a little bit, then went back, and the ball carried on him.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. He kind of sailed over his head a little bit, went back on it, got a glove on it. Just look at his mannerisms, probably tell you that he's frustrated that he wasn't able to hold on to it. And on the thumb of his glove.
So leadoff double for Lamb, and it brings in Chris Owings.
That line drive right at you, the center fielder, toughest one, because you really can't play it to the side to see how high it is.
Nick Ahmed, as we talked about earlier, is going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. Broken bone in his hand. Ketel Marte was called up. He was the Mariners' primary shortstop last year and hitting .338 this year in the minor leagues. He was part of the Taijuan Walker deal. We saw Walker pitch last night.
Well, Seattle got a good player in Gene Segura, a couple minor leaguers, but a trade that helped both clubs, and that's the way it should be.
And Segura signed a long-term extension. That's in the gap in left center. That ball is down. One hops off the wall into the glove of Pham. Back-to-back doubles. Owings drives in his 44th.
Well, we know Nick Ahmed is a great defensive player, hitting higher than several, 40 points or so above his career average, but Owens is a real good offensive player. And he jumps on this one here. Pitch up in the zone, tomahawks it out into left center, plugs a gap out there. Diamondbacks get on the board with back-to-back doubles.
Remember when Wainwright had a lot of issues early on and then went on the great run? He was able to close out games in terms of getting a lead and shutting the opposition down. Early on in the season, wasn't able to do that. We'll see if that's the trend here tonight. Fly ball lifted down the right field line, slicing and out of play. I mean, this ballpark plays like Coors Field. Might as well be a Coors Field.
Well, it has a tendency to, even though the dimensions look big and it's a big, spacious outfield, the ball has a tendency to really fly here. The potential for a lot of home runs.
Curveball taken low.
Hadn't really changed speeds on that curveball. He's had a good fastball. It kind of established the fastball early in this game. Second time through the order here. You've seen a few more curveballs and cutters.
There's the cutter, a little bit low. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Remember, he has that ability on the curveball to throw it anywhere from, say, 66 to 76 miles an hour.
The 2-1. And that time he gets the call.
Wow.
So Drury saying the pitch before is a ball. Same location primarily there. And now this time it's a strike.
I mean, as a pitcher, you really have to take advantage. You're getting pitches that far outside. Why would you throw anything inside? Throw one every now and then just to keep them honest, but you're not throwing a strike necessarily. But take advantage of this wide strike zone.
And there's a strikeout. Looking for something else. It's 5 tonight for Adam Wainwright.
So many hitters are up there guessing and guessing wrong in this case. There are also some of these guys too are letting an early strike in the count affect how the rest of their at bat. Howdy should know Fuentes pretty well, as you said, played on that Puerto Rican team in the WBC.
He singled to right his first time up.
Puerto Rican shirts and hats there.
Here's the 0-1. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Diamondbacks' best start in franchise history. They are 50-28. And playing very well here at home. The 1-1 pitch, runner goes, throw by Molina. It's there, and still he gets in safely. Owings with his 11th stolen base. The throw beat him, it looked like, but somehow avoids the tag.
It looked like throw right there in front. Jerko received the ball. They're going to see if they want to challenge it. Curveball, then he gets a strong throw. He's in front of the bag, and he slides to the back half of the bag. Tag's trying to be in front. I'm not sure about that. It looked like his lead arm was the right arm. That missed the base.
Reaction of Jerko made you think that maybe the tag was a bit tardy.
And they're not going to, yeah, so that's what you also ask your fielders to kind of help you out too. There he is. Good call. Hold the tag on, see if he comes off the bag, and he doesn't.
Could be a big stolen base with 1 out. Sac fly can make it a 3-2 St. Louis lead. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's another curveball, and it's tapped foul.
But there was an indication of a base stealer stealing a base off the pitcher, not the catcher. The catcher gets charged, but Adam only looked 1 time, didn't have that same look. It was a curveball, which obviously is slower than a fastball. And it's a bang-bang play.
Two and 2 the count.
Owings does the right thing and trying to get over to third base with less than 2 outs. Give his teammate an opportunity for a easy RBI, pull the ball, sac fly.
3 and 2.
You don't want free passes in this ballpark, Danny. Make them hit their way on.
Big breaking ball, and he struck him out. And that's 6 tonight for Adam Wainwright. Time for the T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball break. Some of the news around the game today. Mentioned earlier, Miguel Montero designated for assignments after critical comments of Jake Arrieta. Chris Bryant left the game tonight with a right ankle injury, and the Rockies have now dropped 7 straight.
Lost today to San Francisco 5-3. It's a long season, isn't it?
Yep. Fortunes can change.
They really can, and that's why, you know, when a team looks like it's not playing well, you know, you maybe make a change here or there, do something to shake up the club, or somebody steps up and becomes a team leader.
0-1 to Mathis. So Colorado having dropped 7 straight. A little over a week ago, they're in first place, and now they're further back in the West than the Cardinals are in the Central Division. Here's the 0-2. Fastball, and does not get the call. At times that pitch has been a strike tonight.
I was thinking the same thing, you know. Pitcher, hitter, both look for consistency.
One ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs and a runner at third. Same pitch, and that's a strikeout. Wow. It's going to be one of those nights. 7 strikeouts for Adam Wainwright. Previous pitch a ball, this one a strike. Ejections. Torey Lovullo, the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, ejected, along with Jeff Mathis, the catcher that was at the plate. The called third strike. Wainwright, by the way, strikes out the side in the bottom of the 4th, already up to 7 strikeouts tonight on a zone that has really been floating, I think, on the outside portion of the plate with right-handed batters.
But you got to give credit to Adam, who's recognizing that this umpire is given a wide berth and take advantage of it. Frustration for the Diamondbacks, and it's all justified. Why does an umpire stay and bait him? Just turn your head, walk towards back to home plate. The guy's walking away, he's backpedaling. He's obviously frustrated. And now Lovello gets the manager, gets in it. He's going to get his money's worth. Because he stayed and argued for a couple minutes.
Good old-fashioned argument. We don't see him anymore.
And I think we have to side with the Diamondbacks in this one, don't we?
Well, the strike zone has been floating. So the new catcher that is in is Chris Harmon. Actually batted leadoff the other day for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
They carry 3 catchers. But there's the strikeout pitch, clearly outside. Not the first today, but you know, as a hitter, you train yourself to know the strike zone, and you can't force yourself. If an umpire is calling the ball out there, you can't go out there and do it. You know, you got all your training.
2-0 the count on Greg Garcia. Grounded out to first, and he's 0 for 1. Last night for the Cardinals, their 15th one-run loss of the season. And you asked me after the game, we're driving home back to the team hotel. You said, is that the worst one you think this year? I started thinking about it, and I said, that's a pretty tough one because it's set up with Rosenthal and O and a 3-run lead going into the 8th. But, man, there have been some tough ones for the Cardinals this year.
Really have. And it's not the first time that duo has failed when they're your 2 best. You know, your 8th and 9th inning men, and you have it right there for a victory. And of course, that's what pitching late relief is. You know, you're either the hero or the GOAT. When you do your job, people say you do it. Well, that's your job. When you don't, everybody, you know, just gets up in arms. But it was Tony's. They're humans. They're not machines.
And I guess we'll have to talk to Tony after tomorrow night, once the series is over. Ask me after 10 o'clock.
After 10 o'clock. Tony, I really don't care. I just want to know, you know, just the expression. How you feeling? Let me know after 10 o'clock.
Jim Hayes will visit with Tony La Russa on our pregame show tomorrow. His official title now is the chief baseball analyst for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Sure, it was very tough for him last year.
Oof.
You know, and of course he also told you that he is through managing. Had some offers if he wanted, or flyers.
Down and into Garcia. Third walk issued by Godley. July 1st, join us to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Cardinals' 1942 World Series championship. That day, it's a replica ring, and it's courtesy of Edward Jones. Get your tickets July 1st at cardinals.com/promotions. A lot of Hall of Famers that series of 1942 against the Yankees, which the Cardinals won 4-1. Enos Slaughter and Stan the Man, Joe DiMaggio, Phil Rizzuto, some of the biggest names in the sport. 1942, and that replica ring is coming your way on July 1st.
Running situation here for Adam, but he leads all major league pitchers, active pitchers, in career hits 122, RBI 64, doubles 33, extra base hits 45.
No balls and 2 strikes.
Tied for second in triples with 2, third in home runs with 10. 7th in sacrifice bunts, trying to get down his 50th one. You also, in the back of your mind, got to know that he may switch off and swing the bat, and he does that well for a pitcher. Very good athlete.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Runner at first is Garcia. Carpenter is at the on-deck circle. And a strikeout. The ball gets away, but Garcia stays put. And that's strikeout number 4. June 30th, Budweiser providing 30,000 fans ages 21 and older. 1967 World Series championship beer stein. The 7th in the championship series. Cardinals.com/promotions. And again, that's on June 30th. That'll be this Friday. Washington will be in town. A chance to see Bryce Harper up close and personal in St. Louis.
Hopefully we won't see Scherzer. But we probably will, won't we?
Sunday.
Oh boy. That'll be a treat as a baseball fan.
No doubt. Carpenter 0 for 1 with a walk. This stayed in baseball history. Flies under the radar. Yankees played Detroit, nationally televised game in 1976. And a 21-year-old, Mark the Bird Fidrich, 9th start, talking to the ball, all that went into it through a complete game. It took an hour and 51 minutes, but the key was it was on national television. And that year of 1976, he had 24 complete games and 250 innings.
And I remember seeing Mark Fidrich in spring training that year. And Bo Milliken was our minor league roving pitching coach. And he said, wait till you see this kid. You know, and our guys thought he was hilarious. But at the end of the deal, he's 6 innings, no hits, you know, and no runs. And, you know, they thought this guy was crazy. But, boy, that was fun to watch him pitch.
Carpenter tried to push that bunt up the third base line. And Godley underhands to first. We've seen a play, it was in Milwaukee a few seasons ago, very similar to that, where there was a shift on a left-handed batter, and Greg Garcia went from first to third on that type of play.
Yeah, you can really pay attention there and kind of watch and see, but their third baseman was in the vicinity, so he felt like he couldn't go.
When it doesn't work, you're saying, ooh, I don't like to see
why?
Carpenter do that, but if it does work, pushing it up the third base line, you say nice play.
Yeah. Remember, he hit into the shift, you know, his first time up, so didn't like that, so tried to, you know, combat it with that bunt play. Just didn't angle it right.
Here's Tommy Pham.
And sometimes that's just purely, you know, unfortunately, you get a pitch in on you too far, and you can't do with what you wanted. Ideally, it'd be a pitch away. Now watch the pitcher when he gets in to take the ball and go in there, set it, so he flaps his hand there so you can't see.
Pham is hit by the pitch.
Ball runs up and in.
Right fielder, Stephen Piscotty.
Piscotty was hit his last time. This one just kind of looks like it grazes the jersey, but Piscotty's was a little more painful than Tommy Pham.
Scotty got it on the bottom of the hand. It looked like the left hand,
right
near the knob of the bat. And it was a 9-pitch at bat that would load him up for Jed Jerko, who then got the bases loaded walk.
See, he starts with a splitter grip, and then he'll go into the glove, and you go with the most extreme, and that'd be the splitter. So then when you go into your glove, you flap it so you don't give away to the hitter what you're if you're re-changing the grip on it, doing something, you do that.
1-0 pitch, hit slowly left side. Gloved by Lamb. And the Cardinals strand a pair. Midway through 5, 3-1 St. Louis. Hit South Beach. Baseball's biggest stars take the field. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game, July 11th, and it's only on Fox. Wainwright struck out the side back in the bottom of the fourth. He has 7 strikeouts tonight. He's allowed 5 hits and 1 run.
Early in the season, Adam Wainwright had a lot of trouble, protecting leads. I think he's gotten much better. He struggled on the road this year, but it looks like he's figured out things 2 starts ago, a little mechanical flaw, and he's pitching much better.
Floats a breaking ball into Zach Godley. Bit concerning there. Half inning after the Cardinals take a lead, his ERA is over 8.
And they got their 1 run today in the bottom of the fourth. The Cardinals got their 3 runs in the top of the fourth, but I think it's been much better of late. Normally when you think of Adam Wainwright, he's 6th all-time on the Cardinals win list, that when you're giving him a lead, he's able to hold on to it and close it out. It's been more of a struggle this year than ever before.
The 2-1 pitch taken high. Full count. Reminder, it's a day game tomorrow here in Arizona. Wrap up the series and the road trip. Lance Lynn against Patrick Korbin. May have chased ball 4.
Looked like it. High pitch. Tried to jump on it. Throws Uncle Charlie, or a pitch away, he'll get him.
And he struck him out. 4 in a row, 8 tonight for Adam Wainwright. Back to the top of the lineup in Daniel Descalso.
Left fielder, Daniel Descalso.
Overall, the Diamondbacks winners of 16 of 19. They've lost only 2 of their last 17 here at this ballpark. They picked up their 30th home win already of the year last night.
And that was their 28th come from behind win.
When you have teams that do that, as Descalso sends it out to deep center, it usually is a sign of a fun year and a team that's going to go to postseason play.
Right. Team that never gives up, keeps on fighting hard all the way to they turn out the lights.
David Peralta.
Well, we talked about the story of David Peralta. He actually watches video nearly every night of his first major league at bat to remind him of how great this is and the comeback story that he is. Signed in 2006 as a pitcher, then released. 2.5 years independent baseball. He was cooking fries at McDonald's for gas money. He had 5 roommates. He slept on an air mattress. Never made more than $1,200 a month in independent baseball. Tony La Russa, I asked him about him. He said, I don't remember him. But Peralta said, I remember Tony coming into camp and talking to all of us. One thing Tony did say when he came over to Arizona, he saw him in the minor leagues. He said, son, you will be in the big leagues. He can hit. By the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Back in the Valley of the Sun, Chase Field in Arizona. Adam Wainwright with the biggest strikeout of the night right there. Bases loaded. Paul Goldschmidt up. The Cardinals got a run on a bases-loaded walk from Jed Jerko. 2 more on that base hit from Yadier Molina. And on the night, Wainwright has struck out 8. Jeff Mathis ejected. Torey Lovullo, he was ejected as well.
He's got to live up to his mentor, who served a 1-game suspension. John Farrell, who apparently poked an umpire for a 1-game suspension.
I like how Jeff Mathis went out there. Ran very quickly. He kept his body away from contact with the home plate umpire. That's Ron Gardenhire there on the left, longtime manager of the Minnesota Twins.
You would assume that he's taken over.
Jerko 0 for 1 with that bases loaded walk.
I also have Jerry Narron, former Major League manager, on the bench. A couple quality control guys.
Here's a 1-2 to the Cardinal third baseman. Dave Magadan there on the left, Dave McKay on the right.
Magadan's the hitting coach. Remember him from his days with the Mets primarily.
The hated Mets of the 1980s. The 2-2. Breaking ball is popped up. Shallow right. Peralta racing in and makes the catch. Join us at the ballpark for a patriotic celebration July 2nd through the 4th. Sunday, July 2nd, 30,000 fans 16 and over receive a patriotic cowboy hat courtesy of Brown and Crouppen. July 3rd, fireworks presented by Cooper Tires. Tuesday, July 4th, it's patriotic Cardinals socks, compliments of Coke and Powerade.
Good looking cowboy hat.
Oh yeah, I think you'd look great in it.
Al, see that on your farm.
Absolutely, Al.
Yeah.
One ball and one strike. So Sunday night, you're going to be watching Max Scherzer, and nationally televised audience will see that great patriotic cowboy ad.
Probably scare him, Scherzer, won't it?
Oh, it's an intimidating cowboy hat. The patriotic theme. STL on the front. Beautiful. The 2-1. 2-2 on Molina. A single to left field that drove in 2 back in inning number 4. Did not go. There are certain players, and you always use the phrase, but you know, they're worth the price of admission. And to me, Max Scherzer is worth the price of admission. Fun to watch if you're a baseball fan. Molina with a high fly ball into left center. The Fuentes with the catch. There's 2 down.
I will say the ultimate compliment is when a former player says, I would pay to see that player pitch or play.
Appear.
And Scherzer was in that category.
Albert Pujols was in that
Pujols,
category.
sure,
Mike
sure.
Trout. I think Harper is. 2 outs, nobody on, and a strike to Randall Grichuk. All these years with Yadier Molina and watching him defensively.
Sure, people here think Goldschmidt.
Oh, 0-2 the count on Randall Grichuk. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Now 0 for 3. Strikeout number 5. And coming up, the aforementioned Paul Goldschmidt. It's 3-1. Begins with the T-Mobile Home Run Derby on ESPN. That's July 10th at 7. Then catch baseball's biggest stars, the 88th MLB All-Star Game, presented by MasterCard. July 11th on Fox. Coverage begins at 6:30 Central. The Kubota Power Stats, and this is updated. Aaron Judge with his 27th home run tonight. Cody Bellinger with 24, along with George Springer. Logan Morrison of Tampa Bay and Joey Votto, 21 of Cincinnati, league leaders in homers.
Springer hit his 9th leadoff home run of the season, number 27.
Well, Central Division has seen Chicago lose to Washington 8-4. Pittsburgh defeats Tampa Bay 6-2. Cincinnati over Milwaukee 4-3.
Looks like they may want to do a little manicuring on the mound.
Always a good sign when Wainwright is pitching and you see a bunch of gum. That represents the amount of innings that he's gone out there and pitched.
What do they have? One ground crew? One guy's going to bring out a broom. I think they need to tap it down. Got a rake, got a broom, bucket. Where's the tapper? Danny, it's unbelievable when rarely do you ever see this where you have to go out there and tap them out. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the hole in the landing area. That used to be almost, a daily routine that somebody would have a long stride. You'd fall into somebody else's hole, and the way they can have the clay mounds and everything else that they can pack. I remember when I was in Atlanta, we'd always complain about the mound there, and grounds crews said, well, we can't find any clay. And everybody would say, come to my backyard and dig up all the red clay you want in Georgia.
That hole is pretty big right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's an old-fashioned hole. And then, of course, you only got 2 pitchers that have dealt with it. I would think that Adam would have a longer stride, but maybe he was falling into the beginning of the hole from Godley. And it's firm. Need the tapper.
6 members of the crew out there to take care of it. But the Raboski is behind Adam Wainwright, and I know that puts a smile on your face.
I'm just thinking here, we do have a dome, don't we?
Yeah.
Usually need that thing in rain. Now, how often does it rain inside a dome? And don't say Milwaukee.
We did have a rain delay in Milwaukee. Remember that day?
I remember. Do you?
Oh, yeah. It was pouring out the bullpen.
Outside?
Yeah. Goldschmidt with the first pitch, ground ball hit to DeYoung. And there's one away. So the first out here in the bottom of the 6th. We had a rain delay. Olympic Stadium in Montreal. I remember that too.
Well, that's the only one you would remember. Montreal, the Olympic Stadium. You never were in Jerry Park.
Oh no. No, I wasn't.
Jerry Park had a real short right field porch.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that they do water the field, so maybe, just maybe, as Wainwright goes to cover the bag, at times it can build up on the cleat, and that's why they have it out there.
And
I'm just stretching.
It's 108 degrees outside.
Al?
It dries quickly.
I'm just trying to explain potential possibilities.
Well, it was the cleanest Raboski I've ever seen, because nobody uses it in the desert.
Probably right. 2 outs, and here's Chris Owings.
Supposed to add it doesn't work either.
It really gets you fired up.
Tom Mee will hear about it.
Yeah, he's the one that puts
right.
The pictures on television. I just try to describe everything what I see. Down into the left field corner. Owings on his way to second base.
Got away from Grichuk, but won't change the outcome. It's a double all the way. His second double of the night.
And it brings in Brandon Drury.
Turco way off the line. It's breaking ball. Stayed up a little bit. Didn't have a lot of bite to it. Then it gets in the corner. It's by Grichuk, but like I said, that's a double all the way. No further advancement. 2 outs. Drury has struck out twice looking. How about a third?
Wainwright has struck out 8 on the night. Tying run is at the plate. Starter for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Godley, is at 100 pitches. Wainwright just above 80.
And Dan, that's one thing that he's needed to work on. Throwing a lot of pitches per inning, which he's only kept him in a ball game for like 5 1/3 innings. 83 pitches thrown. Try and get this through this 6th inning with under 10 pitches. Love to see him go another inning or two.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Hit out of play.
Lily's got to be very pleased the way he's seen from Adam Wainwright. Last start, 7 innings. Was it 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 runs total? And then to kind of come out here and do this against another good offensive team.
Line to first, and the catch made by Carpenter. Diamondbacks strand a runner. Hard hit ball by Drury, but in the glove of Matt Carpenter. Run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. The Cardinals with just 2 hits tonight, but yet a 3-1 lead. 1 run scored with a walk back in the 4th. Hit by pitch. That's another runner that came around to score. Bases loaded walk. As DeYoung looks at strike 1. And last night, you think about it, the Diamondbacks commit those 3 errors. Cardinals did make them pay, but it just wasn't enough. That led to 3 runs in the 7th inning. I think it's interesting with organizational philosophies and how deep you let young pitchers go. Everybody's different. They've got all the numbers and the charts of when a pitcher wears down, but here with Godley, he's now at 103 and he strikes out Paul DeYoung, and that's strikeout number 6.
Trying to do everything they can to prevent injuries. There's the breaking ball off the plate. That for his 6th strikeout. But they get hurt anyway.
Well, in this situation, too, you're at the bottom of the lineup, 7, 8, 9. That may lead to part of this answer as to why he's still in the game. But usually, not always, 100 pitches, and it seems like the majority of times, especially at the beginning of an inning, that pitcher is out.
Yeah.
Al talked about the glove and how he fidgets and tries to hide the grips. Just like that, the 0-2. Little chopper that rolls foul.
Yeah, you can do it another way by just really holding your glove wide open. And then you can take your hand in there and change the grips for your different pitches. But a guy like Jim Edmonds would be able to see, and he would deduct what you do a little differently on each pitch.
I thought the most drastic pitcher that did it, and did not do it early in his career, but in the latter stages, Ryan Dempster.
Yeah. Sometimes they do it so much animation with it, you know, they fool you that way.
And a strikeout of Garcia. That's 7 tonight. 3 in a row, 2 in this inning. What's on tap? It's Lance Lynn tomorrow. Presented by Budweiser. Will come your way at 2 o'clock St. Louis time. Right here on Fox Sports Midwest. Lynn against Patrick Korbin. Korbin 6-7. Lynn an even 500 at 5-5. Good sign for the Cardinals. Wainwright batting here in the 7th inning. And Adams sends a fly ball out to shallow center. Racing in Fuentes, and he makes the catch. What do you say we stretch here in game number 2? It's 3-1 St. Louis. That's 3-1 Cardinals, despite the fact they only have 2 hits in this game. Adam Wainwright has pitched very well with 8 strikeouts, 6 hits, and 1 run allowed as we take a look at his night here in game number 2.
Here is the best pitch he's made all night with the bases loaded. 3-2 pitch to Goldschmidt. He strikes him out. He's got Drury a couple of times. He has struck out 8 in this ball game. He's allowed 6 hits. 3 of those 6 hits have been doubles. But they only gave up back-to-back doubles in the 4th when they scored their 1 run. And Adam has been doing a good job, especially now he's able to do it 2 games in a row, and I think he's figured out something.
Well, fan has made his way onto the field, and unfortunately that fan bumps into Paul DeYoung. Paul DeYoung is fine. The fan was racing, and I mean racing onto the field, and as they tackled the fan, ran right into Paul DeYoung.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the concerned look Mike Matheny had about his shortstop, and Paul was trying to get out of the way, but wasn't sure which way to go, and he never did fall down, but he got hit in the lower legs and pushed him back a little bit. Security pounced on him. They got out in the field pretty quick, too.
You're smiling now, but that's when you get really concerned, when fans go on the field and if anything would happen to a player. And in this day and age, you're a player. I mean, you see that.
Never know.
Exactly.
Leading off for the D-backs, center field.
Was it Steffi Graf? Got stabbed by a fan in a tennis tournament. You just never know. People laugh and say, oh, nobody's going to hurt anybody. But, Danny, I know some wacky people in this world.
Quite the statement coming from you. I know a lot of fans are saying back home, why don't you show it? It is mandated by Major League Baseball that we do not, as well as Fox Sports, as to not give the fan any more attention. That's why we don't do it.
He'll get plenty of attention right now.
So here we go. We are in the bottom of the 7th, 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Tyler Lyons is throwing behind Adam Wainwright down in the Cardinal bullpen. Pitcher spot is due up third for Diamondbacks. They had a reliever warming up last inning. So there's Tyler.
Yeah, the one that was really bad in baseball, and it's been, oh, I'd say 7, 8, maybe even 10 years ago. But the first base coach, Kansas City, Tom Gamboa.
Yes.
And he was attacked by a couple of fans and actually did suffer a little damage.
It was a father and son.
That's right.
I mean, what do that was a weird situation.
You said Steffi Graf. Monica Seles, I believe, was the one that was.
That's who it was?
Yep. A tennis player, female tennis player. 2-2 on Ray Fuentes. And a ground ball. This will be a base hit past the diving Paul DeYoung. And again, the tying run comes to the plate.
Talk about just guiding a ball through the left side of the infield. Jerko off the line. And he shoots for that hole. He started to go after it, then thought that Paul DeYoung was maybe more in the hole than he was. 28 come from behind wins for the Diamondbacks. Let's stop it right now with a double play.
So Chris Harmon at the plate. Jeff Mathis was ejected after he struck out back in the 4th.
Marte has gone to the on-deck circle.
He's a switch hitter, just called up today. Here's a 1-0. Breaking ball and a base hit into right. Piscotty. His throw will be cut off by DeYoung. Very good speed by Fuentes, racing around second base, and here come the Diamondbacks again.
They do. Boy, it was a hanging breaking ball, and Harmon just waited on it perfectly, rifles it into right field, and Fuentes, after seeing him going first to third, even more perplexed that he didn't come home on that one ball to left field.
Switch hitter, Marte, Mariners' primary shortstop last couple of years. And prior to today at AAA, was hitting .338 this season.
He led all minor leaguers in hits.
And pulls it foul.
At .338 average, 105 hits, 23 doubles, 7 triples, 6 home runs, and 41 RBIs in 70 games.
The 0-1. It will be interesting to see for the Cardinals if they get to a save situation, which direction Mike Matheny would go tonight. They'd love to find out and get in that spot.
Mike had intimated that he may make some changes late.
And a fly ball lifted out to shallow right. Catch made by Piscotty. It's off the glove of Carpenter, but the runner does not advance. Ooh, and a mistake there by the Diamondbacks.
Got Dave McKay right there helping you out, but didn't recognize it. And Cardinals get a break.
Here comes Mike Matheny, and that'll be it. We'll go with the lefty Tyler Lyons to come in and face Daniel Descalso. Seung-Hwan Oh, look at that. He's up now here in the 7th, so that's your answer.
Yeah.
Cardinals would go in a different direction late innings. And a nice night for Adam Wainwright. Strikes out 8. There's a chance for a win. Right here this evening. 8 hits, strikes out 8, walks 1. And the Cardinals turn it over now to Tyler Lyons with runners at 1st and 3rd. So Lyons with 3 of the next 4 lefties coming up in the lineup for the Diamondbacks. Maybe an extended appearance here tonight.
Well, the problem is you got 2 left-handers in a row, and then you got Goldschmidt. So, depending on what the situation is, maybe a base open. Hopefully, you're out of this inning with the first 2 batters, or how about 1 right now?
Strike 1 on Descalso. We mentioned earlier some big hits already this season for the Diamondbacks. He struck out, fly to center, and walked.
Came into this action batting .382, 3 doubles, a triple, and 7 RBIs over his last 8 games. There's some big hits in there, including a walk-off hit on Sunday.
I mentioned before we went to break, Seung-Hwan Oh is throwing in the Cardinals' pen. So our answer would be he would not be your closer tonight, more than likely.
Tyler knew that there was a wide strike zone, but turn that around, throwing to a right-hander. That pitch has been called a strike all night.
The 2-1. Descalso could be 2. DeYoung flips to Garcia to first. Safe at first.
Might challenge that one. thinks he's safe, and so do the Cardinals. You watch this with your heart, and you say he's out, but then you see reality. He was safe.
David Peralta. Infield hit, lined out to left, grounded back to Wainwright. And again, it's another tight game for both these ball clubs that have played in a bunch of them. And the best record in one-run games, Diamondbacks 17-7 after last night.
And I mentioned earlier that a lot of times that's a reflection of your bullpen. Cardinals under 500, problems in the pen. And Diamondbacks bullpen right now has been going very, very strong.
Descalso, the tying run at first base. It's Peralta, the solo home run in the 9th inning to tie the game last night. Did he go? 2-2.
Breaking ball down the way. Can't get him to go after it. Watch Peralta saying no, no, no.
The 2-2. Jerko maybe giving Molina a little time after that foul tip.
He's had some tough foul tips lately off the knee, and then a couple times on the glove, hitting him on the wrong spot.
The 2-2. Foul back again. All he can do is wait.
Yeah, it's
Wainwright there in the back.
a lonely feeling at times.
In the air. Shallow center. Greg Garcia makes the catch. Good work by Tyler Lyons. Sends us to the 8th. And the Cardinals up by a run. tonight. They are within 3.5 of first place in the Central Division. As Shipley, a right-hander, takes over. Just recalled. We talked about it last night. Highly thought of prospect, rated #1 for a couple of seasons in their minor leagues. Did make a couple of starts earlier this year. Shipley will have the top of the lineup in Carpenter, Pham, and Piscotty. Now, if you're Mike Matheny, it's interesting. On paper, I think a lot of folks would say, well, you go with the righty against Paul Goldschmidt. However, Goldschmidt has been actually better against right-handed pitching than lefties. Right-handers, he's hitting .343. Lefties, .274. 16 of his 18 home runs have been against right-handed pitching. So it lines up for potentially another inning for Tyler Lyons.
And as I look down the bullpen, I see Brett Cecil throwing. So maybe Mike is thinking, like you, that a left-hander would do a better job, but wants to keep Tyler available tomorrow. Did a heck of a job. There's Brett. So we mentioned last night his ERA is lower than Rosenthal's.
And the first pitch to Carpenter. He's taken for a ball. Here's a 1-0 pitch, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Carpenter is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Last 15 games for this bullpen, a .95 ERA. Good fastball at 93, and it's 1-2.
Looks like a deceptive fastball too, that he really gives you a lot of motion, hides the ball, short arms it up there, and it's sneaking up on you before you really get a chance to get that good release point. So when somebody does that, a 95 looks more like 98. And it's interesting that he's had more success against the left-handed batters than he has the right-handers.
The 2-2. That's driven out to deep right center field. And this ball, one hops over the wall, and it's a ground rule double. So Carpenter on base for the second time tonight. Came in with the Cardinals' highest on base percentage, near 400 this year with all the walks. The walk back in the fourth was number 54 to lead all of the National League.
Pitch down in the middle of the plate. Ground rule double.
That is a big, big run potentially out there for the Cardinals.
We talked about the strikeout that Wainwright had against Goldschmidt with the bases loaded, how that gave the momentum to the Cardinals. Well, look what Tyler Lyons did, getting out of that jam, keeping the lead, allowing Adam Wainwright a chance to have another victory. You know, maybe that's going to be a momentum swing again towards the Cardinals.
Nobody out. Here's Tommy Pham. Showing bunt and a pitch way inside for ball 1. But they're going to say that he did offer at it, and it's a strike on Pham.
They're showing a ball, but I kind of agree with you. Yeah, now the umpire's trying to change the count. It's 0-1, like we have it on our Fox box. The big scoreboard here, they're showing ball 1.
They did appeal, and Sam Holbrook rung him up for the strike. Pham is singled and was hit by a pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I thought Tommy the first time was just trying to, bunt for a base hit, or, at the very least, you get the guy over to third base. But then it kind of looked like he's going to turn around and sacrifice. I think Tommy Pham, the way he's been swinging the bat, rather see him swing.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. 1-2.
That fastball right down the middle, right? Or has this been a little bit outside? But it's been a strike all night.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Tommy Pham. Big gap in left center.
Dan, umpires sit over the inside shoulder of a catcher. You know, to a right-hand batter, he's going to sit inside because they fear having the foul ball come off the barrel. The pitch that's right in front of them, the inside pitch, they don't call. The one that it's outside, they guess at. Why don't they go back to the old-fashioned American League balloon umpire, balloon chest protectors? Then they can stand right over the catcher's head and protect themselves that way.
The strikeout of Tommy Pham may have caught the bottom of the zone. Cardinals collectively have struck out now 8 times. Here's Stephen Piscotty. Hit by a pitch, a 9-pitch at bat back in the 4th, and came around to score on the base hit by Yadier Molina.
Carpenter's only the 3rd hit of this game for the Cardinals.
Cardinals have been out hit 8-3. They scored their 3 runs back in the 4th. It's when they received 2 walks, hit batter, and they made them pay.
And usually when they're out hit by their apparent opponents, their record is 4-26.
That ball gets away. Throw to third. It's wide. He took a little bit more time with it. Probably would have had Carpenter. Instead, runner at third. And now just 1 out. So we'll see the Diamondbacks pull the infield in.
Now you see the ball get away from him. Like you say, Dan, your instincts are you've got to rush their throw. You know, you can't take time, and it was a little bit wide as he kind of slung the ball there and all in one motion. Risky play by Carpenter, but it pays off.
Infield in for Piscotty. 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out, runner at third.
Numbers are down a little bit this year, but this is an area ever since Piscotty's gotten to the big leagues where he's excelled in driving in runners in scoring position.
It's the 2nd time in this game with Piscotty up on a wild pitch that Carpenter has advanced to third. Here's a 1-2 in the dirt. Harmon a good play to keep that in front. And Shipley has been all over the place.
See the block here and the breaking ball, and toughest go out there, and a lot of times the ball will hit the dirt and spin the opposite way. Piscotty, the last time Carpenter advanced on a wild pitch to third, he was hit by a pitch. That was when the Cardinals scored 3 runs in the 4th on just 2 hits.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Stephen Piscotty. Outside, 3-2. Jerko on deck. One of those times you say you've got to get that run home.
You do. If you want to win this ball game. Now you still may be able to win at 3-2, but if you really want to win, you've got to deliver. Whether it's Piscotty or Jerko.
Piscotty is swing and a miss. Big strikeout for Shipley. Snaps back at the baseball.
Ball just sinking action right there. Now Butcher, the pitching coach, will join in on this discussion and talk about with Jerko up. You got Molina on deck. Jerko has never faced Shipley.
0 for 2 tonight. Flied out to center, flied out to right, bases loaded walk, picked up RBI number 38. And that was in the 4th. He's hitting .327 with runners in scoring position. Infield now back with 2 outs.
And a lot of times with a young pitcher, when you kind of have tell him that he's got that option where you can pitch around this guy, they just don't really know how to do that. And in an effort to do it, you know, they'll make a careless pitch and get burned.
Two and 0.
The farther you fall behind, the more likelihood a guy like Jerko is going to get a pitch he can handle. They're playing him in the outfield towards the opposite field. Big gap in left center.
Two balls and 1 strike. Into left center field and a 2-out hit for Jed Jerko. Sliding for it, Fuentes. And Jerko sliding into second base with a double, and that makes it 4-2.
Made that careless pitch in the middle. They burned the defensive alignment in the outfield. Hit that ball hard. Big pick up right there for Pham and Piscotty. Driving in. Carpenter giving the Cardinals the 2-run lead, and don't stop now.
Nissan drive of the game, and this makes it a 2-run St. Louis lead.
Second RBI of the game. He's up to 39 now. Intentional pass to Yachty.
What a huge 2-out hit that is in this ball game.
Now you fall behind, and of course he's got great confidence, Jerko, and got too much of the plate. That's where sometimes, Danny, you know, when you're down in the bullpen, you don't notice that an umpire's got that wide strike zone, and you don't really have to throw that strike where it was.
So runners at first and second with 2 outs. Grichuk is 0 for 3 tonight. Fly to right. Grounded into a double play and struck out back in the 6th. There's strike 1. Shipley is known to have a very good breaking pitch.
Now you can tell it's, you know, the way he short arms the ball, they're really not picking it up. And then he throws hard enough to where he's got a bright future.
And Harmon took this, I think, off the mask.
Yep.
Yep, and gets a new one. So he had to change masks.
This one looks newer anyway. Not sure I've seen that too often without, you know, a strap broken or something.
See the webbing of a glove or
yeah,
strap on the chest protector or the shins. Here's an 0-2 pitch to Jerko.
That was a pitch that would get him out. And hopefully that little time down in the minor leagues working with George Greer will pitch recognition, stay away from that breaking ball down and away.
Grichuk with the double into left center with 2 outs. And scored Carpenter. Intentional walk to Molina. Now Randall Grichuk. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Had George Greer as a teammate in Double-A, and after his playing days went on to become the winningest coach at Wake Forest.
Here's a 1-2 and a swing and a miss by Grichuk. And the threat is through. Jed Jerko delivers with 2 outs and makes it a 4-2 St. Louis lead. Ball is brought to you by Bud Light, famous among friends, and by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. It's 4-2. Cardinals with 4 hits tonight, but 4 runs and a lead of 2. They need 6 outs in their bullpen, and they turn it over to Brett Cecil, our Chevy called to the pen in the bottom of the 8th.
39th appearance. You see that ERA has been going down, down, down. He's had no trouble with the righties. Still see a 340 average for the lefties, but it was a couple weeks ago that was over 500. So he's got his ERA below 4 and really doing the job.
Goldschmidt looks at a strike. So far tonight he is 0 for 3, trying to extend his on-base streak to 20 and 43 in a row at home. Could make a case the key at bat in this game was in the 3rd and the bases loaded, Goldschmidt up. Probably chased ball 4 and struck out against Adam Wainwright.
Had a pitch or 2 in that at bat that was off the plate, called a strike, and then I think that forced him to swing at ball 4.
Good changeup. 1-2. Goldschmidt came into play tonight, 4th in the National League in average at 327 behind Buster Posey at 344. And Wainwright on that pitch was off the hook.
He recognized the situation. Bases were loaded. 3-2 pitch. One of the best hitters in all of baseball and a hot hitter.
The 2-2. Got him. Strikeout to start the inning. So Goldschmidt, that on base streak in jeopardy now, is 0 for 4.
Right by him.
Jake Lamb, a double off the glove of Tommy Pham in center back in the 4th. Twice he's grounded out to second base. There's strike 1. Always say it. Strike one so important, but in particular with Brett Cecil.
Best pitch in the game. Getting ahead of the count.
And the 0-1.
Yachty way outside on that one.
.125 is average against left-handed pitching. Cecil has no saves of 2 innings. Longest save opportunity was an inning and a third against Boston. And he did that twice in 2014 and 15.
Back then he had 5 saves each year and 10 of his 11 total.
A swing and a miss. He struck out the first 2 he's seen here in the bottom of the 8th.
Good breaking ball right here. Owings has been a thorn in the Cardinals' side tonight. Pair of doubles against Wainwright. And drove in their first run.
4-2 our score in the home half of the 8th.
I know you love to play owner, GM, and manager. So who's got your 9th?
Trevor Rosenthal.
That would be, I think, the guess, but we'll see too.
We did see Cecil last night. You know, I'm not opposed to seeing a 2-inning save either. The guy is throwing the pitch that we've seen so well in that changeup.
I am not, but Mike Matheny usually is. You know, it's got his short relievers only go 1 inning. Really have not seen him deviate from that.
Trying to bunt his way on. Cecil spins, throws low, and the pick by Carpenter. 1-2-3 go the Diamondbacks. Good work by Brett Cecil yet again. .42 our score in the top of the 9th. It'll be DeYoung. His spot first. Greg Garcia, and then a pinch hitter.
Trevor Rosenthal is throwing in the Cardinal bullpen.
So Shipley, his second inning of work after striking out the side. But he did give up a run. Certainly not foreign territory for Trevor Rosenthal. The back end of games and ninth innings and save opportunities. DeYoung trying to make it 7 games in a row with a base hit. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Grounded out to short, fly to right, struck out. 1-2 the count. Crowd tonight just over 23,000 here at Chase Field. Breaking ball lined into center field. And DeYoung now extending his hitting streak to 7 games. He has been impressive.
Yes, he has. He was impressive in spring training.
Let's see how the Cardinals want to play it here. 2-run lead on the road. Ask Garcia to bunt. Tried to do that in the previous inning with Tommy Pham, and it did not work out. Jose Martinez would be the pinch hitter. He's at the on-deck circle.
Sometimes a pitcher will throw over to first base, allowing the bench and others to kind of detect whether the batter gives away a bunt. Center fielder shifting towards right.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Well, if there's anybody that should understand the ground rules of this ballpark, it's the man on deck, as he brought out the lineup card. It's Jose Martinez. So he knows all about the ground rules. There are no rules that Jose is not caught up on.
You think?
Absolutely. Because you know he was paying attention to every single rule that they talked about. Nothing will beat Kyle Loesch going out as Tony La Russa to hand out a lineup card a few years ago at Wrigley Field. But trying to change up the luck of the Cardinals, they went with Jose Martinez here tonight.
Remember, Loesch was kind of scared to death to do that.
Yes, he was.
Pushed out and talked into it by his teammates.
The 2-1. Garcia out to right, sinking, catch made by Peralta, and it brings in Martinez. So before the game, Jose brings out the lineup card.
Oh, he's listening.
Absolutely.
What am I doing here?
Jose Martinez.
Yep. Sounds good. Oh yeah. Okay, got it.
I missed that.
He's a fun guy. Been around him a bunch this year and had the chance to talk to him, and very personable, great personality.
Yeah, I mean, it was really perplexing as to 2 years ago in the Kansas City organization where he won the batting championship at AAA Pacific Coast League and batted over 380 and didn't get a call up. And I think he handled that very gracefully. Really, I don't know if the Royals did him a favor or not, but sold him to the Cardinals for nothing last year and got a chance to get up to the big leagues for the first time. And he's not going to miss any minute of it, is
He's loving it.
All the 10 years in the minor leagues, it's all worth it when you get up here.
So 1 out, runner at first base. Strike 1. What do you think about a strike zone for the umpire? How it changes with a player that's nearly 6'7". Little bigger strike zone for Jose Martinez.
And he's not a quiet hitter at all. A lot of movement.
One ball and 1 strike. Cardinals, their pinch hitters have been outstanding. Last year, a lot of power. This year, the high average. Runner at first is Paul DeYoung. Does not have a stolen base in the big leagues yet.
Martinez 4 for 11 this year as a pinch hitter with 1 home run.
The 2-1 pitch to Martinez. Fly ball off the end of the bat. Shallow right. Peralta won't get there. It drops in for a hit. DeYoung safe at second base. Little blue pit. Martinez will take it. 2 on, 1 out here in the top of the 9th.
Line drive in the scorebook. But remember last year in September, he had a couple of at bats against Aroldis Chapman, and you said this kid can handle it. Handle the fastball and gets a blue pit right there. Knocks out Shipley.
Back to the top of the lineup for the Cardinals and Matt Carpenter. That was a very good job by DeYoung to read that to make sure that ball would drop. Peralta tried to sell it. So Chevy called to the pen, and we'll tell you about the change when we come back. The left-handers, 0.80 the average against them, and overall an ERA of 1.82. Matt Carpenter will be the batter. Interesting to see how Carpenter was getting ready for this at bat. He moved more behind home plate than I've ever seen him, trying to get a look at McFarland and his warm-up tosses. Runners at first and second with 1 out. Carpenter doubled and scored back in the 8th, walked and scored in the 4th.
Not cheating until you're caught. Or if they allow you to like get behind and try and get a better gauge.
Strike 1 on Carpenter. And Carpenter is one that normally will stand at the on-deck circle or even closer to the Cardinals dugout. And there he is behind Tommy Pham.
Of course, if it was Ryan Duran on the mound, he'd throw a pitch at the on-deck circle and then take his glasses off, Coke bottle glasses, and start rubbing them like, oh, that's not home plate. And he also threw 100 miles an hour.
Time is called. No balls and a strike.
Remember, when you come in from the bullpen and you have runners on base, the first batter is the most crucial.
And a ground ball that's pulled foul. Trevor Rosenthal has saved his last 5 against Arizona. In his career, 5 of 6 against the Diamondbacks. Cardinals would love to make this a non-save situation. 4-2 our score here in the top of the 9th. So Brebiev getting loose for a non-save situation. Rosenthal, if it's a save situation. 0-2 the count on the Cardinal leadoff man.
Harlan last year was with Baltimore, 2-2 record, ERA just under 7. Signed a minor league contract with the Diamondbacks.
One ball and 2 strikes. Carpenter hits it sharply to first. Goldschmidt to second. Back to first and out. It's a double play. Cardinals will take a look at it. If it sticks, what a double play started by Paul Goldschmidt.
That's what we say about Goldschmidt. Yeah, he's a good two-way player. Defensively, it's all a question that he's standing on the bag. Umpire can see whether that foot was touching or not. Have nothing to lose here for Mike Matheny, do you?
We get to the bottom of the 9th. It's 4-2. That's Trevor Rosenthal. So Chevy called to the pen. And for a good portion of his career, a dominant closer, and now potentially going back in that role for the St. Louis Cardinals.
110 career saves. So Chevy called to the bullpen. 110 at the major league level. He had 14 saves for St. Louis last year before he lost his closer's job to O. It's amazing how last several years start out with one, switch to another.
First pitch, a strike at 100 to Brandon Drury. He is 0 for 3 tonight with a pair of strikeouts.
Gave up 2 runs last night in the 8th inning.
But you'd have to think, though, his juices are flowing, and he's amped up, back in a role that, you know, that he wants to be in.
Yeah, and you can see by the first 2 pitches, both of them at triple digits, 100 miles an hour. See if he just kind of more like goes right after people, and sometimes, you know, with his secondary pitches, it's giving teams a chance to get back in it.
Here's the 0-2. Line drive into right center. And the tying run will come to the plate. The D-backs this year, they feel they're never out of any game.
28 come from behind victories for them, including the 28 last night. .100 miles an hour, 99 miles an hour.
Ray Fuentes, 2 hits tonight. His start at center field. Single to right, single to left, a run scored, and a strikeout. Diamondbacks have struck out 10 times in this game tonight. Fuentes, it would have to be a very hard hit ball to turn 2. This young man can fly.
Yes. 2 for 3 on the night.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. One ball and 1 strike. One forced in 29 opportunities, double plays this year. Fuentes has not hit into one this season. Mike Matheny looking for a reliever to grab this role and run with it. That's to the backstop. Drury to the bag at second. 3 balls and 1 strike. And Molina out to slow down Rosenthal. You know, he keeps looking back at the landing area, and now the Cardinals pointing at it, and you wonder if they're going to again ask the grounds crew to come out and do some work.
You can do that. I mean, and I think it's a good move by Yachty and also Carpenter come down and say, come on, you know this role very well. It's your role. Grab it by the horns and take it. Remember, he always has the ability to strike out 3. There's the last pitch. You see him slipping on the mound. It's that landing area.
3-1 pitch. Fuentes, fly ball, shallow center, late break by Pham, makes the catch. And there's one away. Seung-Hwan Oh is up and throwing. Here's Chris Harmon. Then McFarland's spot is up next, and because of that, Gregor Blanco is moved to the on-deck circle. So 1 out, runner at second base, 4-2 our score. Herman in the place of Mathis, who was ejected after striking out back in the 4th, and single to right field in the 7th. Here's a 1-0.
Ball behind the count.
Just does not look comfortable with that mound.
And I mean, you're not comfortable. Your foot's getting stuck in someone else's hole. You have that ability to have them come out and manicure it.
Pitch taken high. Tying runs are on. Winning run comes to the plate.
Blanco was 0 for 4 against him with a couple strikeouts.
Blanco started in center last night. Littlequist out to slow down Rosenthal, maybe convince him to have the grounds crew come out and work on the mound. See Rosenthal say, yeah, I'm all right, I'm fine.
It's kind of a catch-22. You don't want any delay. You want to get this job done, but if you're having trouble with your footing, you got to take that time to get it fixed.
To our score, runners at first and second with 1 out. Strike 1.
Nice and easy with that delivery.
Left on the bench for the Diamondbacks, Chris Iannetta. No career walk-off homers for Blanco. Cardinals trying to hold on. The 0-1 pitch. And it's 0-2.
It's a lot freer and easy these last 2 pitches.
Fernando Rodney starts to throw in the pen for Arizona. And the 0-2.
Things up, and a lot of it over the middle of the plate too.
The 2-2. The 2-2. Ground ball slowly hit towards short. DeYoung makes the play. Runners advance to second and third. And look who's coming up again. Daniel Descalso, our Budweiser player of the game. Adam Wainwright, 6 1/3, 8 hits. Gave up 2 runs, both earned, a walk and 8 strikeouts in 96 pitches. Cardinals hold on. He picks up the win, which would be number 8. Descalso is 2 for 3 with a strikeout against Trevor Rosenthal. First pitch is hit out of play. Deja vu as these two that met last night. And Descalso with that base hit. Part of the comeback in that story last night for Arizona.
He's got an RBI in this game, but gets the distinction of making the final out.
1 ball and 1 strike. Here's a 1-1. Wild pitch to the screen. Again, Rosenthal looking back at the mound. Cuts the lead to 4-3. Now it's a wild pitch or a pass ball, and this game is tied. 23,000 on their feet here in Arizona.
Like his cleat got stuck or something like that, but right in front of the plate. I think he's going to make them go out there and check them out.
It's a count of 2 balls and 1 strike.
This is not a visit.
Descalso.
It's not an official visit. What they're going to talk to him is try and say, hey, do you have a problem? If you do, let's take care of it and get it fixed. Apparently, he says he's fine.
I wonder if part of that, too, is that, look, I'm hot, I'm ready, I don't want to stop.
Yeah, I think that is part of it, but I'm sure you complete the game.
The 2-1. 2-2, and now the Diamondbacks down to their final strike.
He knows Descalso. Descalso knows Rosenthal.
The 2-2. David Peralta is at the on-deck circle. Good fastball hitter. Peralta, another chance to be a hero. Last night, 9th inning off a Zunwano. He tied the game.
It's also 1 for 2 off of Rosenthal.
And here it was, just over the wall and left. Tied the game up 5-5. First pitch to him. And ball 1. Again, Rosenthal looking back at the mound. I mean, if that's the case at this point now, you got to take care of it.
Exactly.
And the 1-0 pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Peralta on the night, an infield hit on a hard grounder to DeYoung. He lined out with the bases loaded to left, grounded back to Wainwright in the 5th, and popped out the second baseman Greg Garcia into 7th. Tying run at 3rd, winning run at 1st. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-2. Went with a changeup.
Yeah, but his changeup's been really high, or is that even a breaking ball? But an off-speed pitch.
And again for the second time, down to their final strike. The 1-2. Peralta to second. Garcia, and the Cardinals take game 2. They hold on. 4-3 in the final. Ooh, take a deep breath.
Cardinals not getting a lot of hits, but they scored 4 runs. It was good enough on just 6 hits. The pitching come through. Rosenthal picks up his first save this year. But we're going to have to do this all again tomorrow because he probably won't be available.
They'll worry about that tomorrow. They'll take the save and the win tonight. 4-3 the final. Cardinals hold on. And the postgame show is next.